Potential Experts is brought to you by Vermonti's. Craving something cheesy, crispy, and unforgettably delicious? Say hello to Vermonti's Pizza, where every slice is a love letter to the Green Mountain State. From classic pepperoni to our legendary mac and cheese pizza, we're serving up bold flavors you won't find anywhere else. Order online and get 20% off your first order with promo code Vermonti20. That's VERMONTY20. Hit us up on Instagram at Vermonti's_Vermont Eats to see what's hot and fresh right now. Vermonti's Pizza, homegrown, handmade, and hella good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Potential Experts. We hope you had a phenomenal Thanksgiving. We hope that your start to the shopping season for Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate for all of our diverse listeners out there. And we hope that that is off to a phenomenal start. We have a pretty standard show for you guys today. It's going to be me, Ethan, Brandon talking a little football, and then we're going to kick it over to myself once again, involving Ben, and then I'm sure Ethan will have a few notes when we bring up our basketball topics. So with that, let's go ahead and kind of dive in right away. I want to start by talking about the race for the AFC South that originally looked like a pretty poor division, and I think a few of those teams are fool's gold regardless. However, a fun race is a fun race. 8-4 teams, you are what your record says you are, as Bill Parcells famously said. We have the Jaguars, we have the Colts, even the Texans are hanging around. I don't think anybody would be picking the Texans to win, but they're doing just enough to, and that defense is good enough to just kind of hang around in the conversation. So, Brandon, I'm going to turn it to you. What to make of the AFC South race? Who do you think is going to emerge victorious out of that?
Yeah, so right now the Colts are a pretty heavy favorite. I think just it's been kind of evident to everyone based on what we've seen so far this year. The Colts have what it takes to make the playoffs and certainly have a chance to win the division. As of right now, Jaguars though sitting at that number one spot. I know we had our pretenders and contenders segment last week, but and we did put the Jags in that contenders category, or excuse me, in the pretenders category because we don't really believe in what Trevor Lawrence is doing, but one team I do want to highlight here is the Houston Texans, hanging around at 7-5. Their defense has been absolutely lights out in the last few games, especially against the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. I would not count them out. As of right now, they have a 24% chance to win the division. I'm using The Athletic has this fantastic playoff simulator that I'm using to kind of get these stats and numbers. So if anyone's an Athletic subscriber, you can get that all there. But right now, you look at their schedule coming up. They've got another game. They've got another game against the Colts coming up, another divisional game, so a chance to earn some points there. That'll be a Week 18 matchup. That might be one you want to highlight as one to watch during that last week of games because that could ultimately wind up deciding this division.
That game to me is like a really big candidate to be flexed to the Sunday night slot, especially if the winner of that game will win the AFC South. I mean, it's too early to make that call right now. There are several other divisions that are very close, the AFC North being one of them. The AFC West is close enough to keep an eye on it, and the NFC North and as well as the NFC South and NFC West. So there are a ton of divisions where that game could ultimately be flexed into the Sunday night slot. But just on the topic of the AFC South, that game is a very strong candidate as of right now. Ethan, I'll turn it to you. What to make of the really cluttered, with the exception of the brutal Tennessee Titans, what to make of the cluttered AFC South?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. Indianapolis and Houston are kind of teams that have been trending in opposite directions. The last month, Houston's won 4 in a row. Indy's lost 3 of their last 4. Jacksonville's hanging around, still has a good record. I really like what Houston's been doing the past few weeks. They have maybe the best defense in football outside of Denver. And Stroud's back. He's healthy. They have a more favorable schedule than the Colts do coming up. The Colts coming up have to play Jacksonville this week, which is a massive game for that division. They have to play Jacksonville again. Then they also play Seattle, San Francisco, and then finish off with that Houston game. That's a pretty brutal schedule to end the season. All of those teams are in the playoff conversation. And that's just a gauntlet. And to my point from last week, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is good. I think Houston actually is going to win this division somehow, some way, despite like a horrid start.
Honestly, I could see it. I do look at those quarterbacks, though, and it's crazy that I have no confidence in any of them. CJ Stroud, after one of the greatest rookie years we ever saw, the word was being thrown around like he might be a generational talent at the quarterback position after the year he put up in his rookie year, which, again, we talked a few weeks ago, actually maybe a few months ago at this point, about how the word generational gets thrown out far too often, and that's a perfect example of it. Regardless, he had a phenomenal start to his career, and that has tailed off miserably his sophomore year and now here in his third season. We hashed that on the pod last week. We're going to talk about that again. We're all pretty much on the same page that Trevor Lawrence, bona fide bust in a way. Like, we could have that again debate another day if we actually wanted to put that label on him. But he is in that kind of frame. And then you're talking about a guy like Daniel Jones, who I unfortunately think is turning back into a pumpkin as we speak. Brandon, do you have any thoughts on Danny Dimes?
I do a little bit, and I'll talk about him in just a second. I want to correct myself. The Texans, I meant to say the Bills when they shut down the Bills the other week. And again, obviously, Colts and Daniel Jones was another game as well. But looking at the Texans' schedule coming up, just again using this playoff simulator, if they take care of business in the games that they should and beat the Colts in that Week 18 matchup, they've got a 56% chance to win the division. And that's really just, we'll count the Chiefs as, just not counting that Chiefs game for this week just yet. But looking like if they beat the Cardinals, Raiders, and Colts, they got a 56% chance to win that division. So I like what I see there. But as far as Danny Dimes goes, I'm not shocked. I think anyone who's watched the Giants play football over the course of the last 6 years, give or take, I think would kind of agree with you that Daniel
6 or
Jones.
7 years.
I almost said that, and I contained myself, and I'm kind of annoyed with you for bringing that up right now. But regardless, I think anyone who's watched the Giants with Daniel Jones knows what to expect from him. And, we are starting to kind of see that come back out. I'm not losing all faith because the Colts are clearly a much better run organization than the Giants as far as what they've been able to put together for him to work with. But like you said, it's Daniel Jones. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I do want
Go
to point out Jacksonville has 2 slam dunk win games. They have the Jets at home and the Titans at home. They played Indy twice though. They obviously have to go there and a home game, and they go to Mile High. So you're looking at probably if they go 3-2, they'll finish the season 11-6. That's probably good enough to win the division.
Yeah, realistically it is. It's kind of funny. Again, I'm not confident in any of these teams, but it's not like the winner of this division is going to be at like a 8-9 or a 9-8. It's going to be with a quality record. However, it's going to be, I guarantee you, whoever does emerge out of victorious out of that division, whatever seed they are in the playoffs, because obviously they're not going to be the number 1 overall seed. That's probably going to go to the Patriots or the Broncos, realistically. But whatever seed they are, let's say they're the 3 seed, that 6 seed might go in there and be favored. If it's Indy or Houston, maybe not, because again, Indy's shown some flashes of being elite this year, and that Houston defense is again a top 3 club in the NFL. However, if it's Jacksonville, I think whoever's coming in as the 6th seed would end up taking them down. Let's go ahead and shift to a team that is, honestly, let's call it what it is, firing on all cylinders right now. I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys, much to the chagrin of myself and Brandon, both granted not contenders in the NFC East, but NFC East members nonetheless. Oh, sorry, Ben. Yeah, true. You're exact. Let me tell you guys, really quick sidebar. Ben, to his credit, locked up the number 1 overall seed in his fantasy football league with a week left to go in the regular season. And he texted me and Jeff, who is the science teacher we used to work at, and he goes, "Yep, number 1 seed locked up, first round bye secured. I do not have to watch any football the next 2 weeks." So
I don't at all. And I will say, not a big Cowboys guy, but George Pickens, love of my life, potentially. That guy's my soulmate.
He's
What a
having a
dog.
phenomenal year. He's like the one guy, and we can just use this to segue into some of the things that have been going well for the Cowboys, because George Pickens, you can argue that he has taken over wide receiver 1 duties from CeeDee Lamb, especially after CeeDee's brutal game. Not this past week. He actually had a pretty good game on Thanksgiving, but I'm talking about the week before against Philadelphia, where he had several drops and almost lost them the game in Dallas's pretty miraculous comeback. They have, in a span of 4 days, Sunday to last Thursday, which of course was Thanksgiving, they beat the 2 teams that represented their respective conferences in the Super Bowl. That is nothing to scoff at this point. And the Cowboys are rolling, and the Eagles should be very, very concerned that they are creeping up on them. Ethan, what are your thoughts on them?
Their offense has been cooking. It seems like they've been able to figure some stuff out defensively. It's not as horrid as giving up like 37 points to Russell Wilson week 2. It's definitely not great by any means, but it's not a bottom 2 defense in the NFL anymore. That offense is cooking. Dak's having an awesome year. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb could be one of, if not the best wide receiver duo in the league. You could argue Puka and Devontae, or maybe Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb have to be right up there. Fantastic playmakers, massive game tomorrow night. We're recording on Wednesday night. So Thursday, they play Detroit, who's 7-5. So that has massive wild card implications coming up.
All right. So let's play a little game with the Cowboys. All right. As of right now, 23% chance of making the playoffs with the Cowboys. I don't know if y'all agree with me, but I'm taking the Lions over the Cowboys. We in agreement on that?
Where's the
I'm
game?
not. It's in Detroit. The Lions have been not
Yeah,
playing.
in
They're
Detroit.
not playing
Lions
good
kinda
football
suck.
right now.
I'm going Lions.
I'm in agreement.
Listen,
Yeah, what are
Lions
the odds on
lost-
that? What's like the line looking like?
The
Who's-
Lions have lost 3 of
who's
their
Lions
last
win?
5. Their 2 wins are against Marcus Mariota Commanders and the Giants. And they took the Giants to overtime. The Cowboys are rolling. I'm going Cowboys.
Okay, wait, real quick though. I just want to touch upon what Ben just said because it's one of my favorite games. Whose line is it anyway? Brandon, you have the spread up there? You can.
I don't have a spread. Give me 1 sec. I can pull something up.
Just as a
I
quick
always
side note,
love to guess whenever you're able to get a line. I love to guess what it is. I'm gonna say it's in Detroit. I'm gonna go Lions minus 2.5.
We're going to say Lions 3.5.
Okay. We're saying, all right. Sorry. One more time. What do we got?
Lions minus 2.5.
3.5 Lions.
I'd back that 2.5, I think.
You're all right around. It is Detroit 3.
Okay, so it was split the difference. I'll always,
Yeah.
whenever I'm doing odds, I'll always go at a half. So, okay, I'll take that. Yeah, and honestly, that's not going to be my pick of the week. But to take the Cowboys to cover that, I certainly don't hate that at all. I do think that the Lions have been playing lackluster football, and they need to figure that out very, very quickly. Speaking of lackluster, sorry, I'm watching the Knicks play basketball right now. Oh, that's actually a good find. Anyways, with that being said, are the Eagles actually scared of the Cowboys, or is it more so something that's just like a formality at this point? We're almost searching for a storyline that's not there. Ethan?
I mean, the Eagles aren't really playing good football either right now. They got torn up by the Bears last Friday. The Bears ran for over 300 yards, I'm pretty sure. I think the Eagles should be worried about the Cowboys with how they're playing. They meet again this year. I think they're 2 games behind them right now. Yeah, I think they should be worried.
And just to kind of, to your point, Ethan, not for nothing, they meet again this year. And if they win that game, they hold the tiebreaker entirely over them. So the deficit right now, yes, while it is 2 games, it's really down to 1 game in the terms of controlling their own destiny. Obviously, the Eagles control their own destiny, being the ones with the lead. But again, something to be said about the fact that the Eagles get the Cowboys again, and it could end up being a Cowboys winning that season series 2-0. Brandon, do you have any other thoughts on Eagles Cowboys?
Yeah, no, I think that we talked about this a little bit last week, that the Eagles are being very unconvincing in the way they're winning games. And we all know they're going to make the playoffs at this point. They're kind of, I don't want to say running away with the division, but Cowboys making the playoffs is already slim odds. I don't think they're catching the Eagles to win that division. If the Cowboys are going to make it, it's going to be as a wild card team. So from that perspective, I still think Eagles make it, but the Bears, they are starting to convince some people that they are not just a flash in the pan, not a fluke, that Ben Johnson really has his team heading in the right direction. And I've harped on that before. I think pretty much every week we've talked about the Bears, I've said Ben Johnson is the right coach for the Bears, and they are clearly heading in a positive direction for the first time in what seems like franchise history since Mike Ditka left. But again, you got nothing to complain about with either one of those teams. I'd probably, looking at it in playoff win, I'm taking the Eagles just from the inexperience there. But again, Bears winning the regular season, I think that franchise overall as a whole trending positively.
I do want to make a correction. Dallas and Philly have already played twice. They split this year.
That's right. They opened the season.
Yeah, the massive game in the NFC North this week, too. The Packers are only a half game behind the Bears, who obviously the Packers had that tie with the Cowboys back in week 2. Bears-Packers this week. First time they're meeting this year. They play each other twice over the next 3 weeks. Should be fun determining the NFC North.
I hate when that happens. They're as division rivals. I hate when it's twice in like a 3 to 4 week span. It should, at minimum, there should be like 4 to 5 weeks separating those games. I don't know. It's always exciting when 2 teams meet in October and then meet again in like a big time game in like week 16 or week 17 in December, even week 18 game. Real quick, I want to go off on a segue just because I've noticed the theme in our NFL talk tonight. Almost every team we bring up, we bring up some enormous limitation or something about that team that we don't trust. Okay. We talked about it with all three teams that are contending for the AFC South, shaky quarterback play. Okay. Especially with Danny Dimes turning back into a pumpkin. We talked about not the Giants. Well, the Giants are awful. That was a mistake on my part. But we talked about the Eagles. We talked about the Lions in terms of playing lackluster football. I've harped on how the Packers, I hate watching the Packers play. Just an uninspiring, pretty gross brand of football. People aren't super convinced about the Bears. And the one team, in my opinion, in the entire league that people were pretty sure about going into the weekend lost to Carolina. Carolina's better than they have been in years past. Obviously, they do have a winning record as they sit there in the NFC South at 7-6. How actually tied for the lead with not tied for the lead. The Bucks are 7-5. What I want to ask is there any team in the NFL that you would like trust your life with the way that when Brady was with the Patriots, we would trust the Patriots, the way that, Mahomes back in 2020, 2021, we would trust them. Is there any team that you're willing to be like, they're going to be there in late January, probably in February? Brandon, do you feel that way about any team at all?
If we're going late January, I do feel good enough about the Eagles as a whole to say that they'll be in like the title game for the NFC. I don't know if I have enough confidence in any team to say, yeah, you're going to the Super Bowl. And even then, I do hesitate a little bit with the Eagles because again, we mentioned how inconsistent their play has been, how uninspiring it's looked at times. So I'm leaning no, and like I said, if there was one team I was gonna really trust, it would have been the Eagles, just because I think not a knock on the Rams, but Matt Stafford is getting up there in age, so there is some reason to have concerns about how long he can continue, how well he's been playing. But again, I really go back to the Eagles and that they are the most complete team, but again, uninspiring play throughout. So I don't. Yeah, there's nobody that jumps out at me as you are a bona fide Super Bowl contender.
Ethan, do you feel a similar way, or is there a team that you feel pretty convinced in?
I'm not really convinced by anybody. I think honestly in the NFC, 5 or 6 teams have a legitimate shot to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl. I think in the AFC it's slimmer, maybe 3 to 4, depending on if the Chiefs and/or Ravens get in. But yeah, I think it's pretty wide open this year. There are a number of Super Bowl matchups that could be fun. That could happen, right? We could see Denver versus Tampa for all we know.
That would be a fun one. I'll tell you what though, and I've heard some people be a little frustrated about about how there not being like one team that's really established themselves, like saying there's a lot of mediocrity. You know what? Let's appreciate the parity because that's like one of the major knocks on sports throughout our lifetime. I mean, the NBA most typically gets this knock more than any other sport. I know we're talking NFL right now, but let's appreciate a league with an enormous amount of parity with in a conference where almost every team could possibly not well every team that's currently in the playoff race could make a push late into January. Obviously, not every team in general, as I do not think the New York Giants, who were eliminated from playoff contention last week, I don't think they're exactly going to make a run. With that being
And
said,
real quick, let's look at the NFC to E's point. All right, these are the teams that are either currently in a playoff spot or in the hunt. You tell me where to stop as far as you could not see them being in the NFC Championship game at bare minimum come January.
Okay.
All right, Bears.
I mean, honestly, why not? They just find
Yeah.
ways to win games.
All right, so that's one.
They
Rams,
play the ball real well.
Definitely.
Rams definitely, yeah.
Eagles,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They play uninspiring, but yeah, they could get there easily.
Bucks.
Yeah, they have the talent offensively, and like they have guys with a winning pedigree. I mean, anything can happen. They're probably gonna have to go on the road, but I could see them being in the NFC Championship.
Baker's just, and hopefully I say this, and who knows, maybe Baker's a listener and he's going to hear this and it's going to start to turn the season around because he has been playing very lackluster by his standards recently, which has been frustrating as a fantasy owner. I'm going to say no on Tampa, but I respect yes.
There's enough doubt there. I'll leave them off list for argument's sake. Seahawks,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Packers,
Yeah, I mean, there's enough talent. Obviously, I'm not a big Jordan Love guy, but there is absolutely enough talent to make that work.
Niners,
Yeah, 100%.
probably. Yeah,
Lions,
enough talent. Again, we talked about a lackluster brand of football, but enough talent.
So right there, that alone, that's teams that are in the playoffs or are very close to in the playoffs. That's 7 teams that we are all saying are very much in the playoff race for the, or would not surprise us if they showed up in the NFC Championship game. So, like I said, just Ethan, more to your point, no surprises with any of those teams.
I would agree. All right, let's go ahead. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but let's give a little shout out to Vikings rookie quarterback Max Brosner. He tried. He went out there and he threw that football pretty poorly.
That's 12. Put some respect on 12's name.
Oh God, dude. The funniest thing that I saw was like all these Vikings fans like on Twitter going, okay, you know what? Maybe JJ McCarthy, not that bad. Let's give him another shot. Let's see what he can do. No, if you're the Vikings, you have screwed up your quarterback situation immensely. And I kind of understand why, because you picked up Sam Darnold in free agency in the 2024 offseason, not thinking for a second, because he didn't give you any reason to think that he was going to develop into a good quality NFL starter. You go and draft JJ McCarthy. We don't know ultimately what would have happened last season in 2024 had JJ McCarthy not torn his meniscus in the preseason. Would they have split time? Would it have been Sam Darnold's job to lose? Would he have played really well? Would he have still developed? I don't know. But regardless, they had a full body of work for Sam Darnold. And I understand he didn't perform well in big games, but they ultimately passed up on a pretty solid known quantity for an unknown quantity that is now looking to blow up in their face pretty poorly. Ethan, is there any hope for JJ McCarthy moving forward? Or are Vikings fans hitting the panic button too fast? Or is this guy just a good college quarterback that got way overdrafted?
Honestly, I think, yeah, he is a good college quarterback who was overdrafted. And look, he won a national championship. But you look at his build, doesn't do anything overly impressive. And when you thought about that Michigan team, immediately you think of Blake Corum and pounding the rock and their defense. You don't really think of his play. And that draft class is one of the deepest quarterback draft classes we've ever seen. That being said, I think it is a reach. It is still early in his career. He missed a full season, but that was a year for him to really study and learn while he recovered, and it hasn't been pretty so far. So I do understand Vikings fans hitting the panic button.
Brandon, I want to pose kind of a similar question to you along the lines of JJ McCarthy. Once again, though, I forgot his name. Commanders GM. Is it a fireable offense that he took Jaden Daniels over JJ McCarthy? Is that fireable?
Clearly, yeah, definitely
Nah.
fire offense. But no, all seriousness though, I posed this kind of as a joke in the group chat earlier, but I almost have to take it seriously now. If given the choice, and E, you threw this name in there, I wasn't originally thinking it, but you threw the name in there. Would you take Brosmer, Will Levis, or Nathan Peterman to be your starting quarterback for an entire season? You got to pick one of those 3 guys. I mean, is Will Levis the front runner there?
I think so. I think it's not even close, actually.
Yeah.
I saw too many Levis type plays from Brosner, and it was he got 1 start. It was pretty bad.
Brosmer can't even be in the conversation. That guy quite literally should not even be in the NFL, nor should Nathan Peterman ever have been. Will Levis, while he certainly is a little bit of a bust, being taken near the top of the second round after getting first round buzz, at the end of the day, if your goal was to actually win some games, not that he would win a lot, if your goal was to actually win and not brutally tank, you have to give the nod to Levis on that particular situation. With that being said, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this atrocity. Let's go ahead and move forward. I want to talk really quickly about one of the big storylines in the AFC. Out of the AFC playoff race, we just did a pretty deep dissection to the NFC, and I think we're going to kind of shift gears and talk AFC now, with the Chiefs and the Ravens pretty much on the brink of elimination. Ethan, I'll turn to you. What do you make of it that the AFC playoffs, it's very possible that it's not going to feature guys like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen? Probably unlikely that all 4 miss the cut, but nonetheless, it's not crazy unlikely that 3 of the 4, so 75% of them miss the cut. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills are definitely going to get a wild card at this point, but the Ravens have actually a better chance of the playoffs than I thought through the division. They are in first place currently in the AFC North. Pittsburgh's been faltering a little bit, so they're both 6-6. I'm not sure if they meet again, but they might. That being said, the Chiefs, I don't really know if there's a path for them getting in at this point. There's so many teams ahead of them in the standings, whether it be Houston, Jacksonville, and these teams have like 2-game leads over the Chiefs. Chiefs are sitting at 6-6. The Bills are the 7th seed at 8-4. It's a very deep AFC right now. That being said, I don't really see the Chiefs getting in. The Ravens, much better chance, in my opinion.
The Chiefs are going to have to run the table, and I have their schedule up right now. And there's two, like what I would categorize as slam dunk wins. They have the Titans and the Raiders, each in their final 5 games. So they're on the road, but I don't care. I mean, you have to win those games. This week they're home against the Texans, winnable game, but not a slam dunk by any means. Then they're home against the LA Chargers, and then they are home against the Broncos. So maybe their saving grace is that of all 3 of their most challenging games, all 3 of them are in Arrowhead, which is pretty huge, especially that Denver game, not having to travel 2 Mile High. That would be a little bit of a problem for them. I mean, it's still going to end up being a problem nonetheless. But still, Brandon, what are your thoughts on the same topic that I asked Ethan about?
I think we're just starting to see what we see with most franchises over time is you have, your window, and eventually the window closes. And that's just a part of the nature of sports in a salary cap era is your window does not last forever. And we were kind of seeing the Patrick Mahomes window start to close, I think. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's, the window is never going to open again in his career, but they're entering a lull where they might be a fringe playoff team, not like one of those heavy hitters. Kind of think like back to those Drew Brees years where the Saints were like consistently 7-9, year after year. I think that both of these franchises are kind of hitting that point where you're just going to enter a little bit of a lull after your window is kind of closed. I think you're starting to see the same thing, maybe a little bit with the Bills as well. But there's one team here that I would like to highlight that could be a big reason as to why Lamar Jackson may be sitting on the outside and looking in. And that's the Cincinnati Bengals. Coming off a big win against the Ravens this past week, really to keep their season alive. Joe Burrow's coming back. Like, the Bengals are very much alive in this, and I think everyone's kind of counting out. But let's not forget, the Bengals are sitting there at 4-8. If they win out, you're looking at 9-8. Depending on how things play out, the Ravens are only 6-6, and they're leading that division. The Bengals are in no way, shape, or form out of this. So, looking at if they win out, 80% chance to win the division. That's all I'm saying.
The Bengals' final 3 games are let me be clear. Every game is a must win, but the final 3 games they absolutely should win. They have the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Browns. It's these next 2 weeks that are make or break for the Bengals. They go into Buffalo this weekend, and then the week after that, the Ravens come in once again. Those, again, all 5 of these games are must wins, but if they can survive these next 2 weeks and enter week 16 sitting at 6-8, with having swept the season series over the Baltimore Ravens, you're right, Brandon. They are right there, and I would love it if Joe Burrow could sneak into the playoffs. You know me. I love some Joe Shiesty. He is so fun to watch. I'll never forget watching him in the Super Bowl against the Rams. I was rooting mad heavy for them. Unfortunately,
So
go ahead.
Yeah, again, just crunching the numbers, again, playing with this playoff simulator a little bit. Even if they lose to the Bills, it still leaves them with a 32% chance of winning the division. Obviously, winning out is ideal, but you can lose to the Bills and still have a reasonable chance of winning that division. It's obviously a little bit easier if you beat Buffalo, but you're still not out of it with a loss to Buffalo.
Well, so what I'm looking at now, just in connection with the AFC North, is I'm looking at the Ravens schedule, and the Ravens still have to play the Steelers twice. If you're the Bengals, you're probably hoping for a split there. If either team sweeps that season series, that's probably going to be a really, really, really tough one for you to overcome on that front.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's go ahead and shift to our very final, as far as I'm concerned, unless you guys have anything else to bring up. The New York Giants have invented new ways to miss. Do we call it a miss field goal? Do we call it? Can't be to kick a field goal because you never kicked it.
Yeah, can you miss something if you don't even contact it? Like, if you turn the ball over, it's not a missed shot.
Have you guys seen the Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I'm gonna leave it at that. You don't know who Charlie Brown is? You
Absolutely knows who Charlie Brown is.
He's messing with you, E.
We gotta cut
No,
that.
I have seen that where they pull, but here's the other. It's not like he swung through and just missed the ball. He like stubbed his toe. I don't understand it. And then all of a sudden, puts notoriety on his name. I had all my students the next day going, "Why is your kicker named Young Ho?" I'm like, guys, it's pronounced Young Wei. Let's be a little cultured here. It's pretty.
That was Youngway who did that?
Yeah, that was Young Wei Koo.
Dude, that dude was like my fantasy MVP like 5 years ago. He was so good at the Falcons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pags, you were at the game. Did you think it was a fake when it was happening live?
Me and my guys were sitting there because I went with some of my old fraternity brothers, and we were sitting there just like, what? Yeah, there you go. UVM frats. Ben was in one as well. And we were just sitting there, and honestly, you just have to laugh at that point. Like the entire night, I was just laughing. I'd be such a fool to like being like hanging out with guys I haven't seen in so long when it's about like reconnecting and then be mad because my 2-10 football team isn't playing well. Like that'd be the dumbest thing. It honestly provided some kind of comic relief. And Giants weren't, let me be clear. The Giants weren't winning that game anyway, but at that point it was 17-7. He kicks that field goal. It's 17-10. It's a one possession game. You don't know what happens. The Giants were slated to get the ball to start the second half. They would not have won the game. Let me be clear. I'm not suggesting otherwise. I'm just saying they would have drawn it closer and it could have been way more of a game than it ended up being. And it was just another embarrassment in what has been at this point, 14-year rebuild since the New York Giants won Super Bowl 46. It's rather embarrassing to be a fan of. And I will once again echo a sentiment that I've shared on this pod several times before, which is simply that I feel very grateful, very, very grateful that Eli Manning brought me and my family 2 Super Bowl rings early in my life, because I don't really foresee anything getting too much better on that front.
So I do have to ask, as a Giants fan, watching Jackson Dart take that massive hit that sparked the brawl on the sideline, I'm not going to argue. I think it was a clean hit, having watched it, and I think it was perfectly legal. I don't think there's a problem with that play. But you have to, watching that as a Giants fan, you think you have your franchise quarterback, at least based on what we've seen so far. You think you have your next franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart. Are you at all concerned about his ability to stay healthy long term and what his career is going to kind of look like? Because you have to see that and say, dude, you got to step out of bounds like a step or two sooner, because you just cannot play football that way. And we've already seen injury issues with him in his rookie season.
It was
It's
crazy.
it's really concerning for me at this point, in the sense that like he's supposed to be the franchise guy and he's already gotten banged up this year. He was lucky not to have hurt himself more severely with that hit. And yes, that hit was perfectly clean. When you step out of the pocket like that and establish yourself as a runner, if you're going to actively choose not to slide or go out of bounds, you have every right to be laid out, because they would do the same thing to any running back or receiver or tight end that was running out on the sidelines as well. Even Christian Ellis, the Patriots defender that laid the hit on Dart, was asked after the game, it's like, hey, what are your thoughts on the hit? He goes, step out of bounds or learn to slide. And he was 100% right. He's got
Didn't Dart say the same thing where he was like, yeah, I'm not playing soccer. This is football.
He did say that, and I respect his competitive spirit, his gamesmanship, and not allowing the opponent to know that he like kind of one-upped him on that. I do really respect that, but I would also respect my quarterback not getting clocked when it comes to keeping himself protected.
Yeah, he's got like big Baker Mayfield energy, I feel like, in that sense. And hopefully he just kind of matures a little bit and gets a little smarter. His brain's not done developing yet, right? He's like my age.
Well, it might be done developing if he keeps taking hits like that.
That was well said, dude.
I thought it was definitely a bit like ignorant to say like this is how I play. Watch my high school tape. Like, bro, you're in the NFL now. Like, this is a whole nother level. Like, these are grown men who have been like on an NFL training diet and training schedule for 4 or 5 years, who have been studying football. You're in what, game 7? They showed a stat on Monday night, and I had texted you this, Pags. Through weeks 4 through 10, he had taken 84 hits outside of the pocket. That is absolutely way too much if you want a long, sustainable career as any player in the NFL, especially a quarterback.
What I'm really hoping is that 15 years from now, number one, we're still doing this pod and we're sponsored and life is great. That's number one. But what I hope that we're sitting here in 15 years and we're talking about multi-time Super Bowl champ, first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback Jackson Dart, and he references my welcome to the NFL moment where it all kind of clicked for me was that game in New England in my rookie year where I got clocked on the sidelines and I learned and realized I'm more valuable than the extra 2 or 3 yards that I could gain by lowering my shoulder. I need to start protecting myself. That is the best scenario that could possibly happen through this. Do I think that's likely? No, but you never know. Let's take a look at that.
So before we move on, I do want to point out that Pags just said Jackson Dart is at least hopefully going to be a multi-time Super Bowl MVP. He also said that Daniel Jones is going to win 9 out of the next 10 Super Bowls, leaving room for Patrick Mahomes to win one of them. Would just like to point that out that has been put on the record in the past.
And
he was right about one thing. Mahomes did win.
I was right about that. And, Danny Dimes, while he does look to be turning back into a pumpkin, he could be getting Super Bowl #1 of those 9 this year. And if he does, I know you're going to be real scared. All right. I know it. Gentlemen, do we have anything else to talk about NFL wise before we involve Mr. McPherson here? Well, we went
Let's
for 30
talk ball.
minutes.
Let's talk ball. Oh my.
Before we talk ball, well, not before we talk ball, just kind of to start this off. I'm watching obviously Knicks Charlotte right now. Little bodega cat. Oh, look at that. He's getting the trade value up right now. We're gonna talk trades. We have a lot of stuff on tap. So Ben, I'm gonna kind of hand it to you. Direct us wherever you would like, NBA wise.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should just hop right into the trades first. I got some good stuff. I was cooking on Spo Track, so I got a lot of things going on here. There's obviously been a ton of rumors coming out over the past 24 hours, which I'm very excited to talk about. But I think we'll save the big trade for last. And I have kind of 3 areas I want to go through in terms of trade value, trade ideas, and you give me a little who says no, Ethan, Ben. I'll let you guys be the judges, all right?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. So part 1, speak of the devil with Knicks Hornets going on. Obviously not the same level of player as Giannis, but another former All-Star who looks like he'll be on the trade market is LaMelo Ball. I think he's a very interesting kind of asset out there because he's got all those unteachable skills, but it's just been in such a bad situation and does not really play the game the way, a guy on a finals team plays the game right now. But he has those tools, and I think if you get him in the right scenario, he has the talent to be a top 15 guy in the league. So I got 3 ideas for you. We're going to start 1 for 1 straight up. All right. Tell me what you think. Who says no? And this does work contractually, keep in mind. Tyler Hero to the Charlotte Hornets, LaMelo Ball to the Miami Heat. 1 for 1. Who says no?
I think Charlotte should no.
Charlotte, here's the deal. I kind of want to agree with you because Miami would definitely say yes. LaMelo would, in that new reinvented system where they might be leading the league in pace. Spoelstra's really reinvented that Miami offense. That would just suit LaMelo's skill set so tremendously. It's guys like LaMelo that, Obi Toppin, obviously he's in Indiana now with Tyrese Halliburton, that just love to run the floor and play that fast-paced kind of style.
It's like Chino Hills in the NBA.
Yeah, it really is.
Chino Hills offense.
Where I don't agree with you, Ethan, in terms of where that Charlotte would say no. I was watching the Raptors Hornets game Saturday night. That explains how cool I am now. I was watching Raptors Hornets on Saturday night. But I was watching it because the Knicks were playing the Raptors the next day, and I had a rooting interest. I wanted that game. I wanted the Hornets to kind of batter them up because, the Raptors were coming into the Garden on the second night of a back-to-back. The Hornets, while got down big early, they mounted a pretty furious comeback. LaMelo did not close for that team, okay? He did not play the final, I think, 3 or 4 minutes of regulation and didn't play a second. Did not play 1 second in the overtime. You're telling me you have a guy like LaMelo Ball who you're supposed to value as like a franchise cornerstone, and he's not closing for you in a regular season game in December? I think that tells you a lot about how they truly feel about him if he's unable to do something like that. Do you think both teams would say yes to that deal? I would do that, honestly, for both sides. I think it's beneficial.
I cooked.
Ben, you want to hear what or you want to talk about this one?
No, I was just saying, same as you. I think it fits. I think roster-wise, Miami, Davion Mitchell is a very good player. He's not fun to root against, but I would imagine you would love to have a guy like that on your team. But LaMelo, that's the thing about LaMelo. He's so big. You can run those 2 point guard lineups. The same way Indiana played Halliburton and Nembhard together. With Nembhard being a small guard, I think you can do a similar thing with LaMelo. And I mean, Halliburton's a great player. I think LaMelo has like those tools to be that type of guy on a team. I don't know if he'll get there because I don't know if he has the mindset, but if you put him in a place like the Miami Heat and their Heat culture, maybe that gets him there. Next,
But just imagine a guy like with LaMelo's talent being able to be developed by, in my opinion, top. We should do this on maybe at a time during the dead of the offseason, like top 10 coaches in NBA history. I think Spoelstra falls in like the the 5 to 8 range. I love
he's
Eric.
second best coach in my lifetime. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
behind Popovich.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a guy with LaMelo's skill set being able to be developed. I say that and LaMelo just threw the ball off the bottom of the backboard. He did get fouled, but still. Okay. Ben, to you for your second one.
Yeah, so my second one, also, if you want to build around Knipple, you maybe want to get Hero in there as more of an off-ball guy. I don't know. It's cool. Second one's a little more realistic to me, although that first one could happen because it involves the Sacramento Kings, and those guys are always down to make a splash trade for someone who, LaMelo might do great in Miami. I don't think he would do great in Sacramento, but the Kings in this scenario, again, works out money-wise, would be giving up Keegan Murray, Dennis Schroeder, and maybe a pick to go get LaMelo Ball. Who says no in that scenario?
Take this one first. I think the Kings say no in that scenario, and the reason being, I think from everything I've heard, they are irrationally high on Keegan Murray. I think they look at him, as I understand he's young and he has shown flashes in his career. I think they look at him as one of their building blocks. I don't think it's a secret at all that the Kings are very, very likely to blow it up this deadline period. Get rid of guys like Levine, DeRozan, Sabonis, even possibly. And I think they fully intend on keeping Keegan Murray and utilizing him as one of those building blocks. So I think they would say no because they are, again, irrationally high on.
I think the Kings say no too. I think they're candidates to blow it up. This team's going nowhere fast. They're just kind of stuck in mediocrity towards bad. They could get a decent amount for Sabonis. Sure, DeRozan could command something. He's still
Maybe.
valid he'd be a good piece for a team that needs a scorer though. And Levine would get something back nice too. So I think they're candidates to blow it up. I don't really see them buying at the deadline.
Yeah, I don't know if you're getting much for Levine or DeRozan. It might even be like a Michael Porter Jr. type of trade for him in that scenario where you have to attach something to get off of those guys on their contracts. Who knows? I mean, you say blow it up and restart. LaMelo is only 24. He's a few months older than I am. I mean, you can definitely get him on that young timeline. He's probably around the same age as Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray is also a young guy, obviously. But, that's out there. Again, I think Murray would be a great fit in Charlotte alongside Knuppel and Brandon Miller as kind of an off-ball guy. Last trade. Again, this is one player for one player. Maybe Phoenix would attach a pick in this scenario. But who says no to a Jalen Green and maybe a first for LaMelo Ball?
I think both teams say yes.
Yeah, Jalen Green and a first for LaMelo. Yeah, I would assume that both teams be able to pair LaMelo and Booker together. That'd be a really, really, really fun offense. And then go from there. And you look at Charlotte, they're able to accrue a pick. Will probably be a pretty enticing pick, might I add. They're able to accrue a pick from Phoenix and also add a dynamic scorer at the very least in Jalen Green to, again, get a guy that fits their timeline, maybe even a little better than LaMelo does right now, and over a guy like Knipple who just knocked down a three, and now all of a sudden the Knicks' 18-point lead's cut to 9 because they're an unserious organization who needs to trade for Giannis. But regardless, yeah, I would say both teams say yes to that.
Yeah, I think it's a good deal. I do think LaMelo Ball alongside Devin Booker would be pretty cool. And I'm very high on him. I know it's bad right now, but if I'm a team, I'm trying to buy on that because you can't teach that size at the point guard position. And I think going forward, I think Jalen Brunson is one of those last guys who you're going to see as like a starting 6'1" point guard in this league. You need to have that level of talent to play the position at that size. And LaMelo has so much talent and so much size. It's a very good combination. All right, next group of trades here. You ready?
Yes.
This is going to be a few different trade ideas for a team that will be looking to retool at the deadline. Reports are coming out in reference to, and that is the LA Clippers. They're a train wreck right now, but they're one of those teams kind of like Dallas where things are a mess, but if you look at guys individually, there are a ton of players that I do think would contribute to a team that is trying to win. So the first one is a trade with the Chicago Bulls, who have cooled off since their hot start, but I do think we know with the Bulls, famously, they do try to win. They try to be at least around 500,
Their goal is to make the
and
play-in.
their goal is to make the play-in. And it's no secret that Josh Giddey's their guy going forward, and Kobe White probably doesn't fit in there with that, extension coming up this summer. So in this deal, extension or free, I don't know, they got to pay money this summer. Kobe White will be going to the Clippers for a little youth athleticism, especially as this old aging core is kind of dying out for him. And in return, the Clippers would be sending two elite role players, Derek Jones Jr. and then Chris Dunn going back to Chicago. What do you think about those two going for Kobe White? Who says no on that one?
I think Chicago says no, and here's why. There's reports coming out that Chicago feels they're trying to mimic what Indiana did in acquiring Halliburton and then acquiring Pascal Siakam. They feel that they found their Tyrese Halliburton in Josh Giddey. So now they are actively
Mhm.
looking for their Pascal Siakam. I think that they would look at Kobe White as too valuable a piece to send off for two role players and instead look to package Kobe White in a deal that could land them that Pascal Siakam type player. So I think the Bulls would say no, not because that I think that that trade doesn't make sense for them, but because of what reports are saying they intend to do, or at least have desires to do. I think it contradicts that. So I would say that the Bulls would.
That's fair. It may be too smart of a trade for Chicago to make.
Honestly, people killed him though when they made the Caruso for Giddey deal, and it's like that's like the definition of a win-win trade because Giddey would not have developed the way he did, obviously in OKC. He was not a great fit there, but Caruso was the perfect fit for that team. Ethan, what do you think about the deal Ben proposed?
I mean, it makes sense for both teams, especially if like the Bulls are trying to make the playoffs. But like you said, if they're going for a bigger fish, I think the idea would be to try to package Kobe White with something else to get something bigger. So Buzelis has looked pretty good in year two. I want to point that out. And Vucevic has been pretty steady. So they'll probably be on the cusp of the play-in, but it would make sense to add guys like that.
All right, got two more Clippers trades. They're both built around the same guy, James Harden. This is the longest he's been with the team since he was in Houston. I think that's a guy who wants to win, and while he's doing the Lord's work right now, trying to keep him afloat, again, I think that's a guy that you could actually get some assets for, and his value is pretty high right now. And so there's kind of two ways you could go. There's more of a blow it up Harden trade and a restructure Harden trade. So I guess the blow it up one, it's kind of weird. It's not really based on any reporting. It just made sense in my head. Shocky climbs on my neck right now. James Harden would be going to the Orlando Magic in this trade for salary. Wendell Carter and Jonathan Isaac will be going back. And then for talent, Anthony Black and Jet Howard will be going back to the Clippers as well. You may have to involve a third team here because I don't know how likely a 4-for-1 is. But Harden for Anthony Black, Jet Howard, and Carter and Isaac. Is that not enough?
I don't know that it's enough, number one. And number two, just like the Clippers have this delusion that they're gonna figure it out somehow, which is pretty wild to me. And so I think they would say no. Again, not because they shouldn't take it, although they'd probably look to get more picks than they would players in
Mhm.
that situation. Cat, why don't
Orlando
you
has the
trade-
draft capital to throw in.
Yeah, well, do they? I mean, they gave up 4 firsts to get Desmond Bain.
I mean, you still have. I do think seconds are very valuable. You have swaps. I mean, you got some stuff you could include. And then you did say restructure as well. Like they want to be a good competitive team. If they were to go with that route, Minnesota needs a point guard like bad. Their clutch time offense is terrible, and I think that's largely because they don't have a point guard. And so this one would be Harden going to Minnesota in return for Julius Randle, our guy, and Mike Conley as well. Gets the contracts there, all that good stuff.
That I think that would actually go down. Yeah, I mean, there's reports that Minnesota might look to deal Julius Randle if the right star became available. And right now, James Harden absolutely is playing like a star. So I'd be a fan of that move, and I actually think both teams would say yes to that if that ever came up.
I actually do like the Magic idea. I think Anthony Black is a better player than he's given credit for.
He is good. He is
Very
good.
good.
He had a growth period first couple of years, but now he's really developed into a good player. And Jet Howard's a fairly good player too, and they might have something with Wendell Carter. I know he's going in that trade for salary, but at the end of the day, Harden's 36.
Hmm.
I think that's enough to get a 36-year-old, especially with given how young guys like Howard and Black are.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the Minnesota one a lot. Just the idea of Minnesota and those throwback jerseys they have with the trees and kind of the sharp fonts, and you got Harden and Anthony Edwards walking out there. That's pretty scary for an opposing team. It's pretty scary for any clubs they go and play in an away game as well. It'd be quite the combo on and off the court, that's for sure.
Bring a lot of entertainment. Ben, are you ready to get to the big
Main
fish?
course?
Main
Yeah,
course.
the big fish. Fun fact, that's the name of my fantasy team. There's always a bigger fish. Last 2 weeks, the second highest score in the league lost because they played the big fish. 11-2
Okay.
football for 2 weeks. What a treat. But the big fish in this context is obviously Giannis Antetokounmpo. Reports coming out that he is looking for a trade. Further reports coming out that, I mean, he wants New York, but as much as it kind of kills me to say this, we saw it with Lillard a couple years ago. You can be loyal to a team, loyal to a city, finally request that trade, and that team still does not need to send you where you want to go. So there's plenty of other options besides New York, especially considering that there are teams who could probably beat them in package for package. So we'll save the Knicks for last, and we'll go through some other teams first. The first one being the Warriors in this deal. Again, these all work out money-wise. You have Giannis and Kuzma go into the Warriors, and in return, you're getting Jimmy Butler because you need to match that salary somehow, and that's a guy that they could, again, redirect. And then you have Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Pajemski, and it's Giannis, so probably some draft capital as well going to the Bucks.
Feel like if it gets to the point where like the Warriors could offer, I guess maybe this isn't like fair to like the whole premise of this where we shouldn't be thinking outside of the trade. I just can't fathom that if it gets to the point where the Warriors are able to bid on Giannis, that other teams couldn't make an offer that's substantially superior to that offer. So I would think that the Bucks would say no unless Giannis like really forced the issue and wanted to play with Steph.
And that's been a rumor in the past, right? That Giannis to the Warriors, that's been out there.
Absolutely.
I think that's a no from the Bucks too, just because I think there is more substantial packages. They could try to flip Jimmy Butler, but Butler's 37 at the end of the day, so I think they would try to get like a younger player or maybe more draft capital in that situation. But I know you got to match salary as well.
Yeah. As weird as it sounds, Butler would kind of be the salary match in that scenario. It's more about Kuminga pods and the young guys. But there are plenty of other options. You can't count the Lakers out. So this is just Giannis going out there. And in return, again, you may have to get another team involved because it's hard to do a 4-for-1. Giannis makes a lot of money. But the Lakers would be sending Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, and some draft capital. Again, the real appeal there being Reeves, Hachimura, and the draft cap.
Yeah, depending on what that draft capital is, I think the Bucks would say yes to that. Obviously, Reeves has established himself as
He's so good.
yeah.
He's so good.
I'm like kind of toying if I should say young star or not. I think I'm going to. He's established himself as a young star in this league, and if
Real hard worker too.
what's up?
Real hard worker.
Oh, absolutely, kind of guy you want to date your daughter. Like just plays ball the right way, and so yeah, I think that's I actually think the Bucks would say yes to that deal, and obviously the Lakers would. They're getting Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, even with the jokes there for a while, it did feel like Reeves is good, but he's getting this spotlight because he is a white dude from Arkansas. He's gotten to the point where it's beyond like a bit. Like he is
Oh, he's a
actually
baller.
like he could be the next like Brunson type of guy where he's there alongside Luka. You see him really start to pop, and then he goes and he gets to run his own offense, and you're like, oh, Reeves is averaging 30 and 7 a night and is one of the most efficient players in the league. And he's already close to it. I mean, he's putting up those numbers alongside Luka. So maybe, yeah, I mean, that's a good deal for Milwaukee. My next one, another team you can't count out, another team with assets, is the Miami Heat. And again, you're trading a star player to match salaries in Bam Adebayo. And then unlike the Knicks, you have an array of young talent to put alongside that. So this deal would be Bam, Davion Mitchell, and then either Jovic or Ware, whoever you prefer, alongside some draft capital for Giannis. Is that a better deal than the Lakers deal, do you think?
I think if they include Khalil Ware, then yeah, if I'm Milwaukee, I am not leaving that kind of trade without getting Ware. Jovic, maybe it's just because like the style, Spoelstra style isn't suiting him super well. I've been actually pretty unimpressed with how he's played this year. However,
Uh-huh.
okay, Brunson fade away. Oh wow, nice hit, JB. Okay, wow, he actually made a shot. Anyways,
Hey, come on. It's been what? What's the math on that? 72 minutes of bad basketball? He'll be all right.
yeah, I know he will. Just it's frustrating at a certain point, but hopefully that shot gets him going a little bit. Back to the task at hand. Yeah, I actually think I do think that trade's better than the Lakers deal, and I actually think that the Heat would be, because they also I feel like have more desirable assets to offer the Milwaukee Bucks. I actually think if it gets into the bidding war and the Heat were willing to part with that, and I do wonder if that style, the run and gun style, how that would suit Giannis. In some senses, I think it'd be great for his game, and in other senses, I'm like, without like his ability to pull up and spot up shoot, I don't know too much.
I don't know. He's pretty crazy in transition.
He's no Josh Hart in transition. He's no Josh Hart in transition.
Yeah, if you listen to any basketball game, you'll hear a commentator compare Hart to Giannis and LeBron on the fast break. Yeah. I love Josh Hart. It's one of the strangest phenomenon going on in the NBA the past couple years.
Well, first off, I want to say Luca and Giannis would be crazy, but I don't know. I think the Heat's offer might be more appealing. Khalil Ware's definitely become a player who of intrigue. Uh, Bam is still only 27 years old.
What? No. He's 27?
He's like my age.
That's wild.
Yeah, he's 28. That's insane. 28 is wild.
Yeah, so still in the prime of his career. So they'd be getting a really good player back with him as well. And of course, the draft capital. I think the Heat deal might make the most sense out of all the ones you've given so far.
All right. I got two more for you, both involving my Knicks. The first one, Ben, I kind of lobbed this to you the other day when that initial report came out yesterday. This one hurts me a little bit, but it's Giannis. So, I mean, you're going to have to give up to get stuff. And so in this trade, the Bucks are sending Giannis, Miles Turner, and AJ Green to New York in exchange for Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, and whatever myriad of swaps and second round picks the Knicks can get together. So you're getting two guys from Milwaukee in Cat and OG with crazy high trade value, but you are giving up Turner in this scenario as well. So the Knicks have a center that they can play alongside Giannis.
Love to sit here and be like, oh, Milwaukee should accept that. No, they shouldn't. That'd be stupid. Do I hope and pray that something like that? I say hope and pray like I don't love me some OG and Anunoby, and I do, but to be honest. So no, I don't think that the Bucks would entertain that. The only way I could see them doing that is if they really feel a sense of loyalty and thanks enough to Giannis. And if Giannis walks in and says, I want to be a Knick, I have no interest in going anywhere else. So trade me to the Knicks, and the Bucks go, all right, Giannis, for you, sure, which would be wild. That'd be a wild scenario to happen. We always talk about how sports is a business, first and foremost. I think even Macri, that he tweeted today. I know you're not a Twitter fanatic like myself, Ben, but he tweeted something like, in order for this to work, three things would have to be true. Number one, the Knicks would be willing to part with Cat and OG. Number two, the Bucks would have to be willing to do Giannis a solid. And three, the Bucks should absolutely not do Giannis a solid. That would be insane.
That would be kind of crazy. I think they need a little bit more from the Knicks side, especially if they're going to give up a shooter of AJ Green's caliber. Miles Turner, I know he hasn't really played to the standard of what they paid him, but he's still a good player. I think they probably need a little bit more. So I would probably say that Bucks would say no in this situation.
OG is really good at basketball, though.
He is.
Like
Yeah.
he's a better asset than Bam, than Butler, than like maybe the only guy out there better than him that we've talked about has been Reeves in terms of assets. But OG is a two-way guy that any contender. I mean, if Bane went for 4 first this summer, think of how many first Milwaukee could get for OG. And then on top of that, you're getting Towns. I'm trying to
No,
speak it into existence.
I hear you, but you didn't have those other attached pieces in the previous trades. You know, OG's a great trade asset, but I feel like they need to get like a Deuce McBride in that as well, or like a Mitch.
Yeah. I
If
mean,
we were
OG,
getting, if we were
I
getting
would say
Giannis
OG.
and Turner, I would put Deuce in that deal.
Yeah. I mean, OG, besides Tatum, is probably the best role player in the NBA. And so it comes down to how much you value that, I guess. All right, last trade here. It again involves the Knicks, but this time we have a third team, a sleeper team in the Giannis sweepstakes, I would say, and that is the Dallas Mavericks. So this is a three-teamer where Giannis is going to the Mavs, not the Knicks. The Knicks are sending Karl Anthony Towns and some draft capital to the Bucks. The Mavericks are sending Derek Lively and some draft capital to the Bucks. And the Mavericks are sending Anthony Davis to New York. So Dallas is giving up 80 Lively and some draft stuff for Giannis. New York is giving up Cat and some draft stuff for AD, and the Bucks are giving up Giannis for Cat, Lively, and a bunch of draft capital.
That for all sides.
Yeah, I kind of like that. My only question would be how Milwaukee would feel with their two guys that like are coming in return would both play similar positions, but obviously they have different skill sets. I'm talking Cat and Lively. You would obviously look to play Cat at the 4 in that particular situation, which if honestly that's something that Milwaukee wants to do if they want to run double big, that's a viable thought to do.
And you can always move Cat as well, all right? I mean, he still has trade value. I do think Lively is a very appealing asset. He's had some injury stuff, but hopefully he gets through that. And then Dallas does have some draft picks. The Knicks, I mean, they don't have a ton. I will say that Washington, first, that's going to convey into a couple seconds, I do think is very valuable. A Wizards second is going to be the 31st pick in the draft, and that means you're getting basically a first rounder on a second round value for a couple of years, which I do think is big if you're a rebuilding team.
I would agree. Hopefully that the Knicks are able to spell Milwaukee on that same exact deal. So we have any more ball talk for the evening?
Yeah, I think we can skip the little field segment, save it for another week 'cause we're already over an hour. I just have a quick shame session I want to indulge in. Shame on the Clippers. What are you doing? You're never going to escape the poverty franchise allegations if this is how you treat one of the greatest players in franchise history. It's up there with Dolan kicking Oakley out of MSG. You're going to send Chris Paul away from the team, either waive him or look to just dump him off on someone during his retirement year. I'm sorry, you have plenty of problems. And what's it called? Into a dome?
Yeah, people don't
Chris
know.
Paul is not one of them. So I don't really get what's going on there.
I did hear that him and Lou were not on speaking terms. I heard that Paul was being overly critical of the coaching, the front office, and which I guess there's two sides of this. You could say, well, yeah, they're 5-16 with a lot of talent, or at least supposedly a lot of talent. He should be overly critical, but at the same time, if you're ultimately trying to turn things around, having some 4-year-old dude. I say some 4-year-old dude like he's not a franchise legend, but having a guy who's not really contributing a whole lot on the floor yapping in your ear, giving you crap every single day. Again, I'm not saying they should have done it, but if that was really true, if him and Lou are not on speaking terms and his relationship with the front office had soured that greatly in a month and a half of the basketball season, I kind of understand why it
But
happened.
don't do it at midnight. Like,
Yeah, that is wild.
handle it with some class, I don't know. It's a bad look for a franchise that's had a lot of bad looks the past few months.
Yeah,
Past few years, if you even want to go back to past ownership. So
yeah.
next step in the shame session, unless you have something to add, Ethan.
No,
All right, you
go
may have
for it.
some thoughts on this one, but one of the most historic, prideful franchises in NBA history, the Boston Celtics, should feel some deep, deep shame for the level of celebration and joy they took out of a December 2nd meaningless basketball victory, where you have Jaylen Brown going on Twitch after the game talking about belt to ass. Sorry, Brandon, it's a quote on this one. Against a Knicks team that they barely beat when Brunson had his worst game of his Knicks career, and Brown had, frankly, an out-of-body experience that you're not going to see from that guy in the playoffs ever. Treating that small, insignificant victory like it was a Super Bowl after that same Knicks team sent them packing and ended their dynasty last year. I feel like you want to carry yourself with some professionalism when you're rocking that green and white, both the fans and the players. But shame on Boston. Ethan, I would personally feel embarrassed if I were you. But I'm not going to tell you how to fan. I'm not going to tell you. But if you want to apologize right now, feel free to go ahead.
I mean, I have nothing to say. I actually didn't know he did that.
But you didn't see that? Yeah,
It's just
it was a
like
lot.
he's such a cornball.
He's
He's
been
also
hooping though.
bald. He's bald. He's
Last
bald.
last 5 games, he's averaging 35, 7, and 7.
Nice. It's December.
Listen though, he's hooping. Look, I said earlier, the Celtics are a mediocre team at best, slightly above average right now.
I
Obviously,
mean, fourth best offense in the league. I will say that. That's pretty impressive.
look, they've hit shots, but they've lost some bad games. They play defense hard, but they're not much without Tatum, in my opinion. They just don't have that firepower to get it done in the playoffs. But good win in December. It is kind of funny Jaylen Brown did that.
Well, because he said the stuff and he's like, losing to the Knicks feel like death. All this. He's just, I don't know, he's kind of a cornball. I feel like if you're a finals MVP and NBA champion, you should be past that point in your career where you're taking victory laps over a December 2nd basketball game.
I know. I would agree with that.
I'm gonna let my narrative change that I had from after the Celtics won in 2024, when I just like would do anything to crap on Jason Tatum. Ben and I both went on like this enormous Jason Tatum respect tour last year.
Well, I love Tatum.
Yeah,
He's such a cool dude.
I just
He's
got
so good.
mad respect for the way he conducts his business. No drama. He's a great father. He just goes and plays ball. There's absolutely no
He's
drama.
a dog.
He is. He is. So I'm going to change my narrative and say that she was absolutely robbed blind by Jaylen Brown for that finals MVP.
I mean, he was.
Ethan, I don't
It's
know
not
if
even
you,
a narrative thing.
yeah, Ethan, I
That's
don't know if
true.
you know
Like,
this. Did you know that Jason Tatum is one of only a few players to lead his team in points, rebounds, and assists? I'm saying this facetiously because you're the one who told me this. But he's one of the only few guys to lead his team in points, rebounds, and assists in an entire playoff run, and he was robbed blind. Jaylen Brown, disgraceful individual.
disgraceful.
That's not his fault. Look, Jaylen Brown's not a disgraceful individual. He may be a little bit immature with that statement, but he's a stand-up guy himself.
Ethan, who is I don't remember the year. I remember watching the Celebrity All-Star game one year. Kevin Hart was going for his three-peat for his MVP. He did not deserve it at all. There was some like senator that was a baller. He was like 6'4", 6'5". He was a unit. And it was like a fan vote. And Adam Silver, probably it was Silver, announced that Kevin Hart won. And he went up, took the trophy and said, I appreciate this. I do not deserve this at all. I was awful tonight, and handed the trophy to the senator that balled out. If Jaylen Brown had a lick of decency, he would have done that same thing for Jason Tatum.
I do have another question, though. After watching that game last night, is Boston better without Tatum? Is that possible? Are they better without Jason Tatum?
They're not, but they're clicking right now. They're figuring out those roles. They're getting used to playing like with each other without him. But no, absolutely not.
You know what is a highlight of your season? Naminas Keita. That guy is good. He deserves some flowers. He's going to be good for you guys when you're back in that playoff contention. That guy can play. He's a real Daniel Gafford type, you know?
Yeah, good rebounder, good shot blocker, plays with energy. Jordan Walsh and Hugo Gonzalez have both stepped up defensively. Not really much threats on the offensive end, but really playing tough basketball.
Walsh is cool. He is a good defender. Gonzalez, I could do without. He's a little dirty. I'm not a big Gonzalez guy, but Jordan Walsh, that's another guy in Boston who's got my respect.
The Garbage Man is his nickname. Have you heard that?
Who? Gonzalez or Walsh?
Walsh.
I feel like he needs a nicer nickname just because of
He's trying
just.
to call himself Alcatraz because he puts people in jail.
I don't think
You can't call yourself that.
Yeah, you can't give yourself a nickname in my
I agree.
opinion.
I'm just saying I saw the pregame interview last time. I'm just saying I saw the pregame interview. I agree. He's trying to self-proclaim.
I mean, when I met Ben, he did say, "You can call me Pags. You can call me Pags."
I mean, it's because our names were both Ben, but I was trying to make it a little easier for us.
I would say, I'm not gonna lie, for a while there, I forgot that your name was Ben. I was like, it's Pags. Who's Ben?
Exactly. No, it depends on the walks of life, what people call me or what name people call me. Brandon, it turned to you to introduce Pag's picks, and we're gonna wrap up.
Pags Picks is a podcast segment created solely for entertainment and informational purposes. The content shared during this segment does not constitute betting advice or financial recommendations. Any wagers placed on the opinions or commentary expressed in Pags Picks are made at the sole discretion and risk of the listener. The hosts and creators of Pags Picks are not liable for any losses or damages resulting from betting activities, and you must be 21 years of age or older to participate. Pags, take it away.
All right, so for me, I'm going to stick with the team that I have harped on in terms of being an enormous disappointment this year in the NFL, and I am talking about the Green Bay Packers. They are playing the Chicago Bears this weekend, and the Packers, granted that game is in Green Bay at Lambeau Field, the Packers are favored by 6.5 points. For the first time, I'm going to kind of give a little bit of a caveat to my Pags pick this week. My official pick is Chicago plus 6.5, with the caveat that, you know what, if you are feeling a little gutsy, go ahead and bet money line straight up. Chicago plus 270. Give that a shot if you're feeling yourself. So let's see what happens there. That's my pick. Book it.
Did you just call Jordan Love overrated?
Jordan Love is incredibly overrated.
You got Brandon in his feels, man. He did not like that one. You had him sigh. He went.
Yeah, I saw your facial
Fine with it.
reaction. I thought like I accidentally swore for a second because of like what?
No,
No. Okay.
nope. Just Packers are a good team, man. Just saying.
And now Ethan's laughing. Oh my God. I do think we should wrap this up. Quick update before we go. Road to Dunking is on week 3. I'm up to 42 inches on the box jumps.
Okay.
We're getting after it. Give this by the time I'm 25, so we got about 14 months. I'll be punching it on people in the paint. Don't you worry about it.
Okay.
Well, Ben, we look forward to more box jump updates from you. And
Yes.
Ben, you're going to be back in the States in about a little over 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Yes, very soon. I get back on the 18th. I will be traveling before that. Tomorrow's actually my last day of the semester. It's a half day. I'm very excited. I got all my grading done, but I will be going from Costa Rica to Peru to Argentina over the next couple weeks. So odds are I will probably not be around next Wednesday for this.
Okay.
But when I'm back in the States, I would love to get all the boys in one room, really pack it in there and get a nice, live in-person recording going. I think that would be a real treat.
Special episode.
We should hoop. We should go hoop.
Ethan, you don't want that, man. You
Let's
don't
go.
want that. I got a bag. Don't you worry about it.
You've seen me play basketball. You know that's a bad idea.
Brandon, you're elite. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. Follow us on social, spread the word. And as always, thank you guys so much. Peace.
Hasta luego.